Hello, everyone. Welcome to Development Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis coming to you from the Ventura Cigar Company studio. And today, for the first time ever, we'll have the entire Development Palates crew on the same review. Have
Deep
Jiunn
bang,
Liu,
bang,
Seth
East Coast, West
Geis,
Coast. East Coast.
bang, bang.
West Coast.
Now referred to as the senator since I can't take the general.
Yes, you are the senator.
I'm the senator.
So today we are talking about the Atabey Spiritus, which is a Lancero-ish cigar, 7.5 inch by 40 ring gauge. Comes out of the Tabacos de Costa Rica factory in Costa Rica. Wrapper, binder, filler, all undisclosed. Blended by Nelson Alfonso. Price point is a stout $30, and the release date was March of 2018. So with all that out of the way, Jiunn, what was your smoking experience like?
Smoking experience for $30. Let's go. Okay. So, first couple of thirds put in the same bucket. I got cedar nuts, surprising amount of white pepper on the tongue and on the finish. Towards the latter part of that cigar, within the first couple of thirds, you see baking spices. You get minerals that join the profile. Retrohaling, it kind of as expected, it brings out bigger notes of the spice and that white pepper. The cigar also becomes nuttier. Finish, aside from that lingering pepper that I was talking about, is also very lengthy and cedar. Strength and body the whole way, medium. The cigar really starts to change kind of towards that very last third. And unfortunately for me, it got worse than the first couple of thirds. So about like halfway through that last third or so, the profile becomes less diverse, less complex. It's just started mainly just getting pepper and cedar. So not the best. In terms of construction, it was perfect. I mean, it was like as picture perfect of a constructed cigar as you could probably get out there. So, burn wise, even, tight, sturdy ashes, cool burn, perfect draw, striking that perfect resistance. So, yeah. What about one of you
All right.
other
All right,
figures?
Seth, take us through yours.
Yeah. It's the Spiritus, that first third, it really delivered this cedar cream coffee profile. I got some lemongrass, even some I know Jiunn talked about some nuttiness. I got this little amaretto-like quality. And it stayed pretty consistent with that flavor profile through the first and second third. And then when I got into the final third, kind of went downhill a little bit. The second and third and final third showed a little bit of chocolate qualities, but just the final third just kind of flattened out, I feel like. Just really lost that enjoyable smoking experience. I would say it's between mild and medium and body and strength throughout. Jiunn said the construction was fantastic, and it was. I mean, it was beautifully made. Yeah, well-constructed cigar, mild and medium, pretty good flavors first, second, third, then tanked.
How about you, John?
Well, let me tell you. First third was very Atabeyish, creamy coffee, a little bit of leather, some rich spices that sort of intensified as and by intensified I should say it became more complex. They're not overwhelming the palate. They just, when normally you talk about spices, it's maybe one or two spices. Here we're talking like a whole medley of different complex spices. Sweetness, powdered cocoa, really, really good. And then in the second third, it was kind of a repeat of that, but it was as if you're sort of listening to a concert, and every sort of instrument and flavor comes into balance here perfectly. So the second third was definitely better than the first third, but within our score range, I don't think it sort of moved up or down within that range. I think they scored equally. The second third just had just sort of a perfect balance. And then sort of like you guys, unfortunately going into the last third, it lost a lot of that complexity. The flavor profile did a pretty sharp turn. I got like a mint sweet candy flavor, which is unusual. And then the spice and creaminess kind of fell to the background, kind of replaced with a toasted earthiness and a little bit of toasted graham cracker. Still enjoyable, but just a far cry from the bar that was set in the first and second. In terms of construction, I would say if you buy an Atabey, you definitely know where a lot of that money's going, because if you have a construction problem with an Atabey, that's on you. I don't know that there's better constructed cigars in the industry. I mean, you look at this thing, and the wrapper is just perfect and flawless. The burn is absolutely, what I would call the textbook burn by all cigars should be measured, with ash holding on in 1.5, sometimes 2-inch increments, like flawless with coin stacks and everything. So if you judge the ash as sort of the measure of how good a cigar is, to me this would probably be 100-point score just based on the ash. And then in terms of draw, because Lanceros can kind of be hit or miss. Sometimes you can get a Lancero that can be tight. Again, Atabey construction, it's perfect. I mean, we call it amazing, but it is perfect. Just that slight amount of resistance. So great in terms of construction. How was your experience, Aaron?
Mine was good. Light wood, mild black pepper, a little bit of creaminess joins in, then some dry earthiness. Retrohale's kind of a wood and mild black pepper mix. A little further in, the wood gains a little bit of a toasted character to it. And that's kind of how the first third goes. Strength is kind of mild, medium mark. Second third, flavors are really full, like you said, John. Second third kind of really just kind of amps them up a little bit. Wood's toasted, creaminess. Still some of that dry earthiness and black pepper kind of as supporting notes. Retrohale kind of gains that toasted and creamy wood. Black pepper morphs into more of a kind of a general mild spice going forward. As the second third kind of comes to a close, that toasted wood kind of takes over that creaminess and spicy profile. Strength is moves up a little bit to slightly below medium. And then final third, that toast note kind of transitions to a light char. I'm kind of in agreement with you guys that it drops down in that final third. A little further in, the char continues to build as it goes along. Cream's really faint. Earthiness and spice really aren't detectable anymore at that point. And then as the cigar comes to a close, the cream kind of ramps up a little bit, but it's still behind the charred wood, and strength bumped up to be right at medium. In regards to construction, I thought the burn line was pretty much perfect. The cigar did go out on me once in the second third, required a relight. Unfortunate. But ash held on 1-inch increments, and in regards to the draw, it was perfect. I had no issues with it whatsoever. So overall, Jiunn, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this just felt like just going to a delightful symphony when you hear the percussions and everything else play so well together.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Anything else you got going?
So, all right. Anyway, okay, for reals. So, the Atabeys. So I smoked the Atabeys. What is it like? I think it was like 2-3 years ago or so. Like kind of within that original batch, I guess you could say. Especially those Atabeys and those like the larger ring gauges were nothing short of fantastic. And quite honestly, worth every other penny that it commanded. And there were steep prices, right? So I don't know, man. Like I feel like these Atabeys within this one, something changed. It doesn't taste like that anymore. It doesn't give me that wow factor anymore. $30 is really tough for something like this. It's just not what I expected. But that's my take on it.
How about you, Seth?
Yeah, if you look at the cigar, it's a pretty solid cigar. I will say that it's a solid cigar for the most part. I mean, it's the good flavor profiles in the first and second third. I think final third it went downhill. But I think if you're really going to assess it as an Atabey and you're going to really look at it like that, then I would say it's a complete disappointment compared with all the original Atabeys. I just don't think it's a line that benefits from a smaller ring gauge. I just don't think it was meant to be a Lancero. Is it? Well, it's not even a Lancero, but is it a good cigar? Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's enjoyable, but I think if you really look at it and you break it down as an Atabey, then you could say, listen, no. I mean, it's a bust in terms of the Atabey world.
How about you, John?
You guys are crazy. But I will echo, I agree with Seth on the comment that I don't think Atabey's specialty is the smaller ring gauge stuff. And I found myself naturally comparing this to the Mysticos, which to me is one of the top 4 cigars I've ever smoked in my entire life, and that's not something I bandy about easily because I've smoked a lot of cigars, and even though this has a pretty high score for me, there's very few cigars that I would rank even remotely close to best cigars I've ever smoked, and I think that's really largely due to what you can do. I mean, yeah, we've cheated a little bit and done a 40 ring gauge here, but it's not quite the same as doing a 54, 56, and ironically, that's the kind of ring gauge size that I normally would hate. I find that a lot of cigars in that ring gauge just become a muddled mess, and yet the Mysticos, which is in that range, was, like I said, top 4 cigars. So if you compare it to that experience, is it that same? No. Is it still a great experience? Yeah, it's a really great experience. Is it worth the $30? Boy, that's a tough price point. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would I pay $30 to get a Spiritus, or would I pay, a little bit more and get a Mysticos? Well, for me, I'd have to get the Mysticos because, to me, again, like I would buy vaults full of those. But standing on its own, I thought it was a very good experience. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I thought the cigar was pretty good. I mean, good flavor profile, toasted wood, cream, dry earthiness, pepper, kind of heavy char in that final third, which knocked things down a little bit. But I thought it did a really good job of delivering a set of full flavors in that second third, which was really nice. Price point of the cigar is definitely a deterrent, as you guys mentioned. So maybe it's more of an indulgence type cigar. I mean, if nobody's ever smoked an Atabey and they decided that this was going to be it, I think that they're still going to have an enjoyable experience. But like Seth was mentioning, maybe those fuller ring gauge cigars maybe can provide a better experience in regards to flavor profile and things like that. But if you are celebrating something and you are coming across a cigar and you sit down with it, I don't think that you're going to be disappointed. Can any cigar ever return $30 worth of value? Probably not. But if you're going to be throwing down the cash, I don't think this is going to be a cigar that really disappoints in regards to that. So getting into the scores, we have a wide range here. So we will start with the top. John, 8.23. Next is
Dane.
Jiunn at 6.82, then me at 6.72, and then Seth at 5.50. So John, how do you think that met with your experience?
Matches exactly. This is definitely, we're kind of talking in the green room before the show. This is one of the best 2 cigars I've smoked to date this year. And it's actually kind of a similar smoking experience overall to the other cigar I smoked. That is to say, I haven't smoked all the new stuff out of the show, but yeah, this cigar was definitely an 8.23 worthy for me.
All right, how about you, Jiunn?
I think that perfection and construction helped quite a bit to reach that almost 7 range. But overall, in terms of just flavor experience, I enjoyed both the first couple of thirds and the last third not so much.
Yeah, I mean, you and I scored it pretty much the same, except for you scored it a bit higher on the burn. Otherwise, we're the same. I thought the flavor profile was good. I think it's an enjoyable cigar, at least for when I score. If you get kind of in the upper 6s, that's a pretty good territory to be in. You're kind of getting close to maybe top 25 list at the end of the year. So it's a good cigar. I don't have anything wrong with it. So how about you, Seth?
Yeah, I mean,
explain yourself.
Listen, I stick to the fact that as an Atabey, it's a complete disappointment, and that's what I'm saying. That's what as an Atabey, and I just looked at the prices of all the other stuff. For only like a couple dollars more, you can buy the bigger ring gauge offerings, which are superior. I mean, as an Atabey, total disappointment. As a larger Lancero, you take away the Atabey, I'd probably up it.
Yeah,
if I'm gonna be honest.
Yep. Any other final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with Seth, man. Like I had such high hopes and I had such excitement going into smoking this cigar, knowing what it should be, right? So it's almost like the Niners, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like he's supposed to get us to the playoffs this season, but he so far, I know it's just preseason, but he looks like shit.
It's preseason, man. I mean,
I don't.
Football and cigars.
The question you have to ask is, can it be good and at the same time a disappointment?
Yes.
Yeah, compared to Joe Montana.
No, that's the cigar. It's good. If I were to, I don't know, smoke it blind, and not even that. Like the tasting profile was overall good. It's just, it's I expected more. Right? That's where the disappointment comes from.
If you put a band of another company on this thing, it'd be the best cigar they ever did.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? So, I guess in a way you have to say how much does that factor in? Obviously, it factored a lot into your review.
I think overall impression, it probably
yeah,
had a
for
huge
sure.
factor.
And again, I 100% agree with your assessment. For a couple bucks more, would you get a big ring gauge Atabey? Hell yeah, I would, because
Yeah.
those cigars are like I kid you not, you give that to a guy and it's like, if this is not the best cigar you've ever smoked in your life, you're either a liar or you have the palate of a yak. So, you know, it's tough to, from a value proposition, it's tough to say, you know, smaller ring gauge experience, not enough tobacco. And again, I'm blown away by the fact that they can blend big ring gauge stuff that tastes like that, because there's very few companies in the market that can do that.
No, I mean, it would be, can you imagine Habanos doing a Cohiba Bihique Lancero? No, they wouldn't try it.
No.
And I think this is one of these things. I think Nelson was like, let me give it a shot. I'm not saying, did he fail in some extent? In my opinion, yes.
Yeah,
overall,
you have a high expectation. Absolutely.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But it's still better than a lot of other shit. I'll give him that.
All right, if you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us. We'll also check out the full review on the website, developingpalates.com. Follow us on all your favorite social media channels, and you can catch all of our review recaps on podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one.
Selected tobaccos.